Nothing to hide, and I'm gonna break it straight down the pipe for you, face to face.
Being tough gets you hurt. This is a sharp game, a skill game, a chess game, and I think people see that.
You lost that fight, walking out of the ring. What were your memories? What did you think?
Boxing's a lot tougher than I expected.
So you don't even know. You don't know my ability though.
That's true. That's true.
You don't.
I don't know where you might go. I just give you where I think you're at, which I'm entitled to, which is average. Average is very complimentary.
The face-to-face talk between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua shows two men from very different tracks. Jake Paul, the YouTube figure who turned into a boxer, stands before former heavyweight ruler Anthony Joshua with bold drive and strong faith in himself. Joshua stays steady, watching Paul with the calm focus of a seasoned fighter. Paul also accepts that Joshua's size, skill, and champion mindset make him a real threat. He shows clear respect, saying he knows this could be his toughest test yet, but he is ready to show what he can do.
Forward pressure, taking lots of damage and not giving a fuck and returning that damage more than what his opponents are giving him. And
with the fight locked in for December 19th, the hype has climbed even higher. Jake Paul explained that this is not a casual celebrity boxing show. It is a real test against a former unified heavyweight champion. He admitted that facing Joshua is a big risk, but said that real progress comes from taking strong chances. Joshua, on the other hand, stayed calm and sure of himself. He praised Jake's business skills and effort, but reminded everyone that experience counts. He made it clear that once the bell rings, respect drops and instinct takes over. Both fighters agreed that this matchup will impact careers. Either Jake shocks the world or Joshua proves his strength again.
I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua. I know I will beat. Knocked out, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. But I want to fight you.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping shared his take on the matchup, calling it a win-win situation for Jake Paul. He says that even if Paul loses, he will still earn strong respect for stepping up against a former heavyweight world champion. Bisping believes that fighting Joshua proves Paul is not just doing celebrity boxing. He is willing to take real risks. And if Paul somehow pulls off the win, it would move him to a whole new level of credibility in the sport.
I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. By the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself. Everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would. Maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him, and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance. And not.
Either way, the fight looks more like a business move than a legacy moment for Joshua. A key point in this matchup is the weight difference between the two fighters. Jake Paul was reported to be around 200 pounds in his fight with Mike Tyson, while Anthony Joshua usually competes in the heavyweight range of 252 to 255 pounds.
Legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work? Like, how do you even... Never mind. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not official and I don't think it's happening. So let's just not even broach that subject. But let's talk about the Anthony Joshua fight. And I want to hear the clip again because I just can't believe what I'm hearing. Let's play it again.
I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, all this shit, but I want to fight you.
So Jake says he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. He says he's going to beat Anthony Joshua's ass, that he doesn't have a chin, that he has no skill, and that he's stiff. And then you hear Derek again with the porn creeper stash chime in. Didn't he just get knocked out? Yeah, by Daniel Dubois, who is a reigning heavyweight champion of the world. Not that that means anything at all, I don't guess. Yeah, Jake's just flat out wrong here with a lot of his critiques of Anthony Joshua in comparison to himself. Like, if you want to say for the elite heavyweights in the world that Anthony Joshua has a little bit less skill and is more stiff than they are, then okay, but Anthony Joshua is still an elite heavyweight in the world. And then to go as far as to say, I will beat Anthony Joshua's, that he doesn't have a chin, no skill, he's stiff. Like, again, Jake can have this opinion. And he says that, that we're friends and I love you, but I want to fight you. And Jake may even believe that, but he's just wrong. Like, Anthony Joshua took heavy shots against Daniel Dubois before he was knocked out, and really the reason he was knocked out is because he got in a firefight and threw an uppercut as a lead because Ben Davis...
Anthony Joshua has gone up against some of the best fighters in boxing. He has much more experience than Jake Paul, and Joe Rogan has pointed this out when discussing the potential matchup. Joshua has faced hard fights with top opponents while Paul is still at an early stage in his boxing career.
His own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27. That guy's fucking scary. He's dangerous. When into that fight, it seems like he believed that he was just going to dominate him. He was so aggressive. He was just in the pocket constantly, just forcing Joshua to go to war. It was wild.
Everybody was like, look, to Joshua, I think you're done.
Right after he knocks out Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Flattened Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, oh, Joshua's back.
Dana White's opinion of Jake Paul has been largely dismissive. He says he stopped taking him seriously after Paul lost to a professional boxer. White shows little respect for Paul's fights and does not see much value in what Paul is doing in the ring.
The fight that's reportedly being worked on for December 19th in Miami.
Did I see the fight being worked on December 19th in Miami?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think
Tommy Fury fully rejected the idea of Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua, calling Paul's goals laughable. He reminded everyone that he beat Paul even with a serious hand injury, using that win to question Paul's skill and credibility. Fury doubted that Paul deserves such a big fight and suggested Joshua would gain little from it. He even speculated that Joshua might be paid if the fight drags on, saying he doesn't believe Paul could truly challenge a heavyweight of Joshua's level.
Jake Paul. Excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago. And now all of a sudden, he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious. You can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So...
On the other hand, Tyson Fury has made a bold prediction about a potential fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. The former heavyweight champion believes Jake Paul could knock out Joshua, saying he is completely confident in Paul's chances.
Paul chins AJ, yes, they fight.
Are you serious?
100%.
Ruling him out.
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50.
So Tyson Fury just comes out with an interview saying that he thinks Jake Paul will knock out Anthony Joshua. I think this is probably like a troll attempt to get Anthony Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, but then again, I don't know. Maybe Alexander Usyk did more damage than we thought. I think Jake Paul knocks him out, Fury told Ring Magazine when asked about Paul versus Joshua. I just think Jake Paul would knock out Anthony Joshua out. I think Jake Paul is on the rise. I like his new heavyweight look, a bit chubby, a bit bulky, getting there. And he just did a great job over the aging. The fool's like almost 40, you know, and he like was not a fighter for a long time or a boxer, you know. He's just in it for the check and the name value of his dad, you know. Aging Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he was a middleweight, but still. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Who'd he call out? Tank Davis and Joshua? That's just crazy. I see Richter scale call outs. Exactly. I will say, I don't know, Gervonta Davis could beat him too, even though he does outweigh.
Fury's comments have sparked plenty of debate in the boxing world, with many questioning the likelihood of his prediction. Jake Paul responded by showing strong confidence in himself, saying he would multiply the bet 10 times, offering £10 million on his own victory.
Possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky. Getting there. That's protected. And he just done a great job over the aging Chavez Jr., who was a middleweight, but still.
Sure.
Yeah. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Who did he call out? Tank Williams and Joshua. That's just crazy. That's what you call Richter scale call.
Anthony Joshua exclusive, because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know
he
I
just
will
got
beat,
knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo.
Stop the tape now. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. The thing I respect about Jake Paul is his strategic selection of opponent. The retired NBA player, the mixed martial artist who does not specialize in striking, and a almost approaching 60-year-old Mike Tyson. But Anthony Joshua's skills are 1,000 light years ahead of Jake Paul's. Anthony Joshua, Mr. 28 wins, 25 knockouts, 4 losses. Anthony Joshua has been in the ring with real fighters. His resume speaks for itself. I just have one thing to say. Jake Paul, you can't play boxing. Trust me. Just stay in your...
Stephen A. Smith has openly criticized Jake Paul for choosing to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson. Smith says that if Paul wants to be taken seriously in boxing, he should face fighters closer to his own age and skill level instead of going after veterans like Anthony Joshua who have far more experience. Smith's point is that for Paul to earn real respect in the sport, he needs to challenge active fighters who match his abilities. By targeting much older or more experienced opponents, he risks being seen as chasing attention rather than truly testing himself.
Credit for this, at least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me to believe a year later that you're gonna be in any condition to really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I wanna say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you wanna make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're gonna have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer. But then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
Smith has often questioned Jake Paul's choice of opponents, saying he mostly fights non-boxers or fighters past their prime. Paul responded by claiming he tried to face Tommy Fury but Fury got scared. This moment is significant in Paul's boxing journey. While he has beaten former MMA fighters and older boxers, he has not consistently defeated young rising boxing talents. His loss to Tommy Fury was one of the few times he faced a boxer in his prime. Paul insists Fury avoided a rematch, but critics argue that to earn real respect he needs to take on more fighters like Fury.
These guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's a heavyweight.
Despite all the criticism around this fight, the financial reward is enormous. Reports suggest that each fighter could earn around $92 million from the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua matchup, bringing the total purse to about $184 million. This is a huge payday and one of the biggest in either of their careers. For Paul, it is a major financial win regardless of the outcome. For Joshua, it is a massive cash incentive that makes agreeing to the fight even more appealing.
However, given all of that, both men are going to make $92 million each. So forget my opinion. Who gives a damn when you can bank $92 million for having a little move around in a boxing ring? Fair play. You can't on that. However, let's talk about it. The reason I say that it's a lose-lose we'll start with Jake Paul first. The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone.
All right, everyone. Keep up with the latest boxing news, highlights, events, and stories. Subscribe to Boxing Glory and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Don't forget to watch our other videos. Until next time, take care and peace.